We were facing brutal rounds of layoffs, and the fastest solution was to send a clean email and move on.
There's going to be turnover. There's going to be stagnation in innovation, and we're going to fall behind. Your company's going to fall behind.
Or HR hero pushed back.
And see, I think that that's bravery and that's courage. And that's what we really need today, is that bravery and courage.
If we do this without care, we'll lose the trust and morale.
If you're not taking care of the human first, then emotionally, people are going to just kind of be dead inside. Questions, questions, questions. Most of the time, HR is invisible until something goes wrong. But sometimes HR is the reason a company doesn't fall apart. Today, we're sharing the untold hero stories, the moments HR saved the day, rebuilt trust, and reminded everyone why people, not policies, are the heart of the work. And Diana, our producer, is bringing in stories, confessions, and questions from the field. Together, we're going to dig into the moments when HR turned a breakdown into a breakthrough. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
All right, let's go.
So thank you for submitting your stories, and let me get started. For this episode, leaders nominated an HR hero that saved the day. So here is the first one. A COO wrote to us about their HR director, Monica, and he said, "We were facing brutal rounds of layoffs. Revenue had dropped, the board was pressuring us, and the fastest solution was to send a clean email and move on." I'll be honest, that was my instinct. But Monica, our HR hero, pushed back. She said, "If we do this without care, we'll lose the trust and morale." So she created a small group of conversations, clear talking points for managers, personal check-ins, and a space for human emotion. And like just to hold the space for them. Later, the employees reached out to thank her. People felt seen and respected. That moment changed how I see HR forever. So here are his questions.
Okay.
How can executives prepare managers emotionally, not just operationally, emotionally for difficult conversations? So that's one.
Okay.
And the second question is, what are 2 to 3 non-negotiables leaders should protect during workforce reductions?
These are awesome. This is awesome. First of all, Monica, right? Was it Monica?
Yeah.
Amazing. Incredible. Completely a hero. Kudos to Monica. And kudos to her company for recognizing her.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes that goes
Unnoticed.
You know, it's like, oh, pat on the back, that's good, you know, or that's what's expected. But it's really not. I mean, Monica did an amazing job. And the fact that she said that Monica pushed back.
Yeah.
And see, I think that that's bravery and that's courage. And that's what we really need today, is that bravery and courage. Okay, so sorry, that was all about Monica. What was the first question again?
How can executives prepare managers emotionally,
Okay.
not just operationally?
Right. And part of that is allowing for time and space to be curious, deeper thinkers. So operationally, you can have an operations manual, right? That you follow step 1, step 2, step 3. You can even memorize that, you know it, because it becomes rote. And you don't have to think anymore because it's just the operations of the task. But if we don't allow time to start thinking and reflecting and have a safe place to do that, then emotionally, people are going to just kind of be dead inside.
Okay.
Right? Because they're just following the operations. They're doing what they need to do. And even when you think about, like, what does HR stand for? Human resources. So human. So we've got to allow people to be humans, express their emotion. Emotional intelligence is such a big buzzword today, but it's also incredibly important because we have to be in tune with not only our own emotions, but the emotions of other people. We have to be intelligent enough, knowledgeable enough, wise enough to recognize this is how I'm feeling, this is how other people are feeling. So even if it is step 1, you do this, and step 2, you do that in operations, that doesn't mean what's going on the inside. And what's going on in the inside of our employees and our leaders is just as important as step 1 and step 2, because otherwise there's going to be turnover. There's going to be stagnation in innovation. Nothing is going to get changed. Everything's going to be the same, and we're going to fall behind. Your company's going to fall behind if you're not taking care of the human first.
I know from working with you a while and learning more about your business that you do specific workshops for companies and you help prepare them emotionally. What type of exercises do you guide them through?
Right.
Because just saying, and this is just me thinking out loud, setting time for thinking about what? Like, what are we talking about? Like, it feels so broad that can you give us a little bit more of like focus?
Yeah, absolutely. What I walk people through is called the CREATE method.
Okay.
And the CREATE method is a 6-step method, but you can do it in any order. And what it mainly focuses in on is leaders, first of all, being reflective of, am I allowing curiosity in my department, in my meetings? Am I allowing curiosity to flow? Am I also encouraging risk-taking? So are people able to take risks? And looking at that of what is the culture? What is the feelings, the emotional attachment to when people fail? And am I opening it up enough for people to give me those ideas just in case they fail? I also think that what's really important when we look at the CREATE method is the A and the T. And the A really is the attitude of the leader, the attitude of the staff, and T is being a team player, not just a part of a group.
Okay.
And I think that especially when you look at human resources, those two things are incredibly important. Then they work hand in hand. If I go to work and I'm like, oh, this place sucks, I don't want to be here anymore. And that might even be the leader saying that, right? Oh, this is horrible. I don't want to be. That attitude is going to transfer to your staff, right? And the same thing, we feed off our staff. So if our staff is, woohoo, this is a great place, we're going to feel good about that as well. The other thing is and that's your attitude. The other thing is the team, right? We've got to create teams. Think about a baseball team or football team. Everybody has their role, right? There's the running back, the quarterback, or there's the pitcher and there's the first baseman. We all can't do the same thing. If we really want our companies to win, we want our departments to win, we have to recognize everyone's strengths, everyone's weaknesses, and how they all work together. I might be good at one thing, you might be good at the other, but instead of competing, we need to collaborate because together we'll win. Individually, it's gonna be complete chaos. Can you imagine a baseball team where everybody was the first baseman? That wouldn't work, right? So you've got to have that sense of team. So I really walk people through, what is it like? How would you describe your team? What does your team look like? Who's on your team? What are the strengths? Really analyzing and looking at people and how they work and what they believe are their strengths versus, and sometimes I might think my strength is this, but my manager might see something that I don't see. So it's that conversation that has to take place. And for me, whenever I do the trainings, it's really important to not just have the leader in the training, but the leader and their staff. So everybody's in one room talking to each other, building that trust. So I walk them through that. I really walk through a lot of reflection. What is my attitude? What if, and give them scenarios. If this were to happen, what would be your first reaction? Because I think sometimes that's how we learn what our attitude is towards things. There's 2 E's in CREATE. The first one is making it an experience. So I am learning and I'm experiencing and I'm growing, right? So what is the experience you're creating for your team members? So are they on production and working 8 to 5 and clocking in and clocking out? But are you providing room for them to grow? Are you providing other experiences to stretch their ability, to see maybe that, man, this person would be great in leadership. They just don't have the confidence. What experience can I give them to make sure they're doing that, to grow that? And the last E is evaluation. That's that feedback part. It's the 360 kind of idea of tell me what I can do better, how I can serve you better. And it's the constant feedback, not the one and done. So I really walk people through that method and we really talk about, and I usually have them, what I love is I have them come in with a problem they're facing right now. What's a problem? What's an issue you're facing right now? And then together we're going to brainstorm it. We're going to walk through the method. And hopefully by the end of the session together, we're going to have these amazing ideas that we can try and implement.
Because that's the part that, like, how executives can prepare managers emotionally. And I think it comes through creating space for having conversations that are meaningful, which is what you bring together through a structural method.
Correct. Well, and I also think that meetings have to be redefined. So when you talk about that question, typically we have a meeting. We say, okay, everybody, give me a status report. That could be done in an email.
Yeah.
I don't need a set. What we need when we're all together in one room is to brainstorm and come up with solutions. and feed off each other and learn from each other. So we've also got to shift that. And I talk a lot about with leaders of changing their agendas. The simple act of changing your meeting agenda can make a huge difference.
What are things that meetings or agendas should include so that they're meaningful and powerful?
Questions. So it should be, what do you think we should do? What might we do? Here's an issue. What are some of your ideas? And not going with that first idea. So Bobby over here might have one idea, right? And we go, oh, great idea. There we go. There's our answer. But we haven't heard from Julie and Mary and Frank and all these other, right? And what will happen is the more ideas we get, the better the solution will become. So we can't just go with that first one. But if all we are doing in meetings is saying, okay, so, Bobby, what did you do this week? Great. Okay, Mary. Okay, great. Julie. Okay, great. Because if you're Julie, you're telling them everything, but Mary and Bobby and Frank, they've all shut down. They don't care.
Yeah.
There's no collaboration. There's no meeting of these minds that could do some great. So, just simply saying no more status reports. Instead, we're going to have it's going to be a solution brainstorming session.
Insightful. Oh my goodness. Hold on. All right. Next. Oh, the other question was, what are 2 to 3 non-negotiables leaders should protect during work for reductions?
Number 1, acknowledge feelings. A non-negotiable needs to be, this sucks.
Sitting with it.
Yeah. Sitting in the pain, sitting in the sadness, sitting in the fact that this is going to hurt. Right? You got to acknowledge it. You can't all of a sudden brush it away and say, oh, there's no problem. We're fine. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. Which we tend to do, right? I even have a t-shirt that says, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Or even my husband will say to me, if I says something, I go, I'm fine. He'll go, okay, no, tell me really. Right? And we tend to do that in our organizations. Everything's fine. Everything's great. But we know that that's not true. It's not authentic and genuine. And people want that. So number 1, non-negotiable, acknowledge that this sucks. Period. Number 2, non-negotiable. I would say being the kind of leader that inspires and mentors people should be non-negotiable. So what I mean by that is leaders need to not only acknowledge that this sucks, but also encourage people I'm really glad you're here. Right? I appreciate what you're doing.
Validation and appreciation.
And what do you think? How can I? Those kinds of questions. What do you think we need to do? How might I? Because there's got to be the recognition that your staff is now afraid they're going to be next on the chopping block.
Oof. And
so there has to be a non-negotiable. Recognizing the fear and then recognizing that you're doing a good job. I'm thankful you're here. Why don't you help me do this? What do you think we might do? Right? I think that the third non-negotiable has to be the idea of collaboration and communication. Those water cooler moments where leaders are outside, walking around, listening, being present, being able to hear what people are saying and being invested in. I think that has to be non-negotiable. No more sitting in your office. Get out there, talk to people, have coffee with them, ask them how they're doing genuinely. Ask them about, sometimes we say, how's your weekend? You say, oh, great, good. But it's totally different if I say, didn't your daughter have a soccer game this weekend? How did that go?
Yeah.
Totally different, right? So you might be feeling really sad and depressed because you just had all these other people who've been let go and all these staff reductions. And I know, leader, you are so busy. You could be sitting in your office for 12 hours a day and still not get everything done. But you took 5 minutes, 2 minutes to ask me about my daughter's soccer game. Those things should be non-negotiable. They just happen, no matter what. All right, before we go any further, if these stories are sparking ideas, we've created a free resource called the Hero Toolkit. It's packed with scripts, rituals, and practical ways to show up with courage when it matters most. So check out the show notes for details, or if you're watching, get it from the QR code.
Okay, so let me go to the next hero story.
Okay.
An employee sent us this message. I used to dread coming to work. Our manager was a bully. None of us felt safe to say anything. Then HR set up a way for us to share concerns anonymously. That's sometimes tricky. I don't know if I trust. Within weeks, leadership stepped in and that manager was gone. For the first time, I felt like HR was actually protecting us, not just the company. Curious question. Why does HR response to toxic managers define trust for years to come?
The anonymous thing is tough because sometimes it's good and bad, right? So you can say things you might be afraid to say, but you're still saying it, which managers need to hear. Because I think that we talk about fear an awful lot and that people are afraid to step up, to say something. It is easier to be silent than it is to step up. So the anonymous thing is tough, but here's the thing about it. HR still asked. And I talk about this all the time, that we've got to start asking our employees what's going on. We can't make the assumptions because we don't know. And if we're not out in the office, and if you're in a large company, you're not going to know what's going on unless you ask. So I think asking is key. And I would say kudos for them because especially, we've all been there. We've all had jobs that we've hated and we don't look forward to going to. Right? And sometimes that leader, that manager can make a huge difference. And as an HR person, if you see that there's some toxic behavior going on, if you see bullying, which is pretty prevalent. I mean, it's prevalent in our playgrounds, right? And it's prevalent in our politics, and it's prevalent in our conference rooms. Bullying is just part of the deal, unfortunately. So how do you deal with it? And I think part of it is bravery, noticing, not hiding and ignoring that it's happening and calling it out. That is courage. I talk a lot about how what I teach and what I mentor leaders on is courageous leadership. It isn't easy. You have to be.
It is not easy.
No, you have to be courageous. But if you want to see things change and you want better leadership, then we have to start calling people out on some of this stuff. And you can do it in a way that can be productive, not punitive.
And why does it define trust? Like HR took the steps towards resolution.
Right.
And sometimes they don't.
Right.
In this case, they did. So how does that define trust for the culture, for the people, for the individuals? I think HR has such a it's such a powerful force. And sometimes they show up for their people and sometimes they don't.
Well, and HR is a tough situation because let's go back to the anonymous. I got to make sure that that's true.
Oh, okay.
Right? I got to make sure that that's true. I mean, if you hear from 10 different people at 10 different times the same thing, there's got to be some way to it. It can't just be I'm mad at this person, so I'm going to get them in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I even remember, when my kids were little, they would always come home and they would say, my teacher hates me. Your teacher doesn't hate you. I would have so-and-so got this and I didn't get that, no, let's reframe how we're thinking about this and what our picturing is. So I think that HR walks a very fine line of let me reframe, let me see what the truth is, let me see where this actually lies versus, okay, here's what we're hearing. And of course, they're going to be defensive. Let's say you talk to the leader and say, this is what I'm hearing. We've had these complaints. Of course, immediately that person is going to be incredibly defensive. No, I didn't do that. They misunderstood. And you got to listen and be open and say, okay, I hear you.
But here's a recording. I'm just kidding.
But let me show you. Yeah, like a Law and Order. Let me show you this tape. But I think we have to listen and then we have to say, so how are we going to change the situation? Instead of it being, you must. How might we change the situation? And if you don't think that this person is right, why do you think that they think that way? What's making them perceive how you are acting as bullying? Because sometimes then you're reframing the question, right? You're reframing it. Instead of it being your fault, it's why do you think people may perceive that?
Yeah.
And how might we change that perception?
You need to have questions on a
cue card. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me
go through my, I'm going to ask you this question next. Yeah.
Okay.
We actually do that, by the way.
You do?
In a training. I have leaders make cue cards.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that they can keep on their desk in case they need them. They can pull them out. That's actually in the new book, a whole thing of how to do cue cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're in those positions where your mind goes blank or emotions take over.
Right.
And then there's no language or there's no strategy on how to get back on course.
Or the strategy, just flew out the window.
Yeah. So to be able to have some place to come back to center and be like, okay, what makes you say that?
Right,
Or,
right.
or have some sort of
Tell me more.
guide.
Yes.
That,
And I'm not saying, to leaders, like you said, grab your cue cards and I'll shuffle through them and go, oh, I'm going to ask you this one next. But sometimes it's just nice to have them and review them and just have and I talk about like the top 5 questions you want to ask, the top 3 things you think you'll need to know for more information. So like, what are the steps that you can take? What works for you in your language? I can say, you need to say this, this, and this, but it's not yours. You've got to do it yourself.
and I think it's just as having tools. It's having more resources to be able to come back to center, be objective, like reconnect to the North Star.
Yep.
So sometimes conversations go off track and the North Star that you were going for is no longer there.
And keeping that cue card in front of you can help you stay focused.
Come back to center. I don't know if it happens to everyone, but it happens to
I
me.
think so. Yeah.
Anyways, next question.
Okay.
Or next story.
hero.
Next hero story. This story came from a CFO who nominated her HR Elena.
Okay.
And he said, we all knew he was the problem. This is not a good start.
No.
We all knew he was a problem. Top performer, big revenue, close to the board. Great trifecta right there.
Yep.
But people didn't stay on his team. Good people left quietly, consistently. Privately, everyone said the same thing. That's just how he is. Elena didn't accept that. Go, Elena.
Yes.
Power to you. She started tracking who was leaving, how strong their performance review were, and there was a clear pattern. We were losing our strongest people.
Yep.
When she brought it to the executive team with a clear message, you think he's making us money, but we're losing some of our best talent because of him. He had supporters. He had influence. She didn't soften it. She didn't hint. She said it plainly.
Yep.
We had to choose. Oh my God, what a really strong position she had.
And what a brave, courageous person she is.
Oh my goodness. Do we keep protecting one high performer or do we protect the team that keeps the company running? He is no longer here.
Okay.
Yay!
Yeah. Yep.
Good job, sister. Okay. And since then, we've seen something we hadn't seen in a while. Steady teams, stronger collaborations, and strong and growth that doesn't depend on one personality. So here's the questions. It says, you talk about leading with curiosity. So they know your work.
Yep.
In a moment like this, what would curiosity sound like inside that executive room?
So first of all, I love the fact that she mentions the word clear. She collected data. So this isn't just, here's what we're hearing, or here's what I think.
Or an emotional.
It's not emotional. It is, here's the data. I've asked, I've observed, I've noticed, and here's the bottom line. And see, I think that for a lot of executives and just people in general, that makes a difference. I talk a lot about the ROI of losing good, talented people. And Elena saw that, right? And she just needed to show it to the board. If the board doesn't know, if executives don't know, what we can't expect them
to make the right decisions.
Exactly. And so it's key that you have people like Elena who says to a board or to upper management, hey, look, this is the reality of it. Because otherwise, how are they ever going to know? Right? So you've got to also choose your audience. And I talk about that quite a bit about you want to lead with curiosity. You've got to know and be curious enough to know your audience.
Yeah.
And know what works for that board of directors or those executives. What kind of language do they speak? What are they going to hear? And for her, she knew it was going to have to be clear, it was going to be honest, and it was going to have to be proven. There'd be evidence. She knew her audience. She was curious enough to know what it was that she needed to ask. And so that's why leading with curiosity is so incredibly important. If I don't want to learn more about you or what's happening or what's going on behind the scenes, I'm going to lose those top people. I'm going to lose a team. And there's so much power in when people collaborate and work together. It's fascinating to me. And in fact, in that national research that I talk about quite frequently, over and over again, people said, I'm better when I'm working with other people. I think better when I'm surrounded by other people. So that's why the importance of where Elena was talking about team. It's so important that we have strong teams. It can't be just that one person.
And it took one person to really stand up and take a stand.
Right, but look what she did. She asked people. She was curious. What's going on? What's happening with this? Why are people leaving? If she was like, oh, somebody else left, but she asked why. What's going on? She was curious. And that curiosity led to a much stronger bottom line.
Yeah, and it's hard because he had support within the leadership.
Sure.
And that's even more scary.
But my guess is the leadership didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. They just saw the spreadsheet that saw, oh, this is how much he's bringing in.
Oh, okay.
Right? The leadership probably had no idea that his team was constantly a revolving door because they might not, one, have the brain power for that because they have so much else going on, right? And that's something that usually someone else handles.
Yeah.
Which is then fall on the HR.
And the HR did their job.
They did.
Good job, sister. The other question that they have here is, what does it signal to a workforce when a company fights for one of its own?
Yeah. And I think that especially if you're fighting for one of your own that doesn't deserve it. Right. So, you and I talk quite a bit about culture and building environments that honor truth and authenticity and respect. And you do something like that, all that stuff is gone because they can't trust you. Because they probably know that leader, like the one we were just talking about with Elena, isn't worthy of that kind of kudos. So everybody else knows that, but the board doesn't. So what message are you sending? You know what matters? It really matters if you go golfing, you go out for drinks after work with so-and-so or whatever, right? It's that favoritism. When I was a teacher, I would have students all the time say, you have favorites, you have favorites. And I'd say, no, I don't have favorites.
Did you?
No, I really didn't. No. Here's what I would say. I really did have favorites. Sometimes there's students you connect with more. I mean, think about a team that you work with. There's probably people that you connect with more than others. And that's okay. That might be perceived as favorites. It's just that person has more in common with you, or you just have the chemistry with them, whatever. But what's key to that, and like key for an educator or for a leader, is that I might connect with this student more, but I connect with my other students in a different way.
Okay.
Right? So I'm connecting with all of them just in a different way. And what's important is that it's not seen as favoritism. And if someone says to you, because I remember I got on ratemyteacher.com, it was that, oh, she has favorites. And I looked at it and I was thinking, it really made me think about it. And I thought, am I favoring, but that's important because you got to reflect, right? These leaders need to reflect. Am I favoring this one person over an entire team? And if your answer is, oh, I see why they think that way, I see the perception, you can change it. You might not be meaning to,
but you can see where they're coming from.
And I could see where these students were coming from. I needed to make sure that that's not how I continued in my classroom or continue as a leader. So it can really define a culture, because if you're showing favoritism and you're really favoring one person, one employee, all the rest of your team, they're not going to want to work for you because they're going to feel like they can't win.
And then the other part is, if they only save him, like for the sake of like, he brings the most revenue,
right,
yada, 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 which is important. Like
incredibly.
Or talking about like having a conversation with this person to explore how this person may be open to adjusting some of their things or some of the ways they behave, because it's not one way or the other. It's not like if you don't do this, then out the door you go, but it's more of like bringing awareness to the situation and taking appropriate action.
And you're not going to like everybody.
Yeah, that's part of
You're not going to like everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that some people, he just
But in this
compatible.
case,
No, in this case, it doesn't seem like it because she has a lot of data.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to go back to getting the data and the evidence. But there are where you just come to, I don't work well with you. We don't get along, but we have to work together. We're on the same team. And I've had that. I had that in one of my marketing positions. We were a team. Marketing is a team. We were a team. But there was one person, her and I there
was no chemistry.
Yeah. But we still had to work together. I still had to appreciate her ideas. She had to appreciate mine.
Yeah.
And as a team, and what was great is that our leader at the time knew that the two of us didn't necessarily mesh, and still helped us work together, encouraged us, worked at it. He didn't just say, okay, you two fight it out. Right? I mean, he really genuinely cared and listened and helped. So I think that has to be in there as well. Like if you really want to change, if you want to be reflective and pause and think, what can I do better? First of all, somebody has to tell you this is what you're doing that isn't going well so that you can change, right? And you have to give a person a chance to change. And if they don't, you have even more data.
Check
out
the door. Have you had any experiences in how you work with other companies and leaders and teachers of a time where HR was the hero?
Oh, all the time. I mean, I think that they are, as they say, the unsung hero, right? I mean, they're in and out every day. People come to them with complaints, tears, joy. Managers are saying, do something about this. I remember even as a teacher, our HR was like our dean of students kind of. And if a student wore an outfit we didn't like, we didn't have to say something. We had to send something to the dean and the dean had to deal with it. Right? So, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Like HR has all of these responsibilities that they have to juggle. Plus they are having to hire, train, right? A lot of times HR has to, all the mandating, all the training, all the things that has to be done on a yearly basis. So there's so much that they're juggling. And yet we sometimes take them for granted. Oh, it's just HR. Just send them to HR. HR can answer that. Think about all the laws that they have to know. Right? I mean, all of the juggling that they have to do. And I think that all HR, they're all heroes for what they're doing. Because they really can, I've talked to several HR executives and they're tired. They're drained emotionally.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. You may not know this about me. Fun fact.
Okay, fun fact.
I think it was like one of my early jobs. I was probably like 19 years old. And I got hired at a staffing agency. And I like pulled myself through like junior staffing person. Mm-hmm. But it felt so good to like, everybody wants a job. So you are like the cool person in the room because I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. It's like, it's a cool position to be in because a lot of people are in a position of need that one can feel very useful for that. So I had my taste of, I wasn't necessarily in HR per se, but from that perspective of being able to be a junior staffer where we would give, like we would have to interview people and I don't know, I never went into that direction, but that felt
But
like
also think about the responsibility of that. You're recommending this person to be hired. And if they don't work out.
Yes, it's
a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And you've got to be really good with emotional intelligence. You need to know how to read people.
It's like a matchmaker. It's the job of a matchmaker. And there's a part of me that knows that I would have loved that.
I could see you doing that.
Yeah, I would totally have loved it. I'm a people person.
Yeah.
I would have totally.
I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah. And the universe had different plans, which is totally okay.
Totally okay.
But yeah, that was an experience that I had. And I just came to mind because I was like, oh yeah, like HR gets to do all of these amazing things that may look glamorous in the outside.
Right.
But they also have to deal with.
And a lot of times they're not recognized for what they're doing. You know, I think we need to thank them for how much they're juggling, the conflicts that they're dealing with. You know, sometimes they're the emotional weight of, I know what this person's cancer, I know about this person's divorce, I know about.
Oh, no.
Right? Think about that. But I can't say anything and it's confidential. But I also know what's going on. Like, that's a lot of weight. Besides the fact of, okay, yeah, their productivity is falling. They're, you know.
Yeah. And in big corporate, my experience with HR was not great.
Yeah.
I never felt like they had.
I didn't even know my HR person. Yeah.
Yeah. I never. Yeah. It was never something that I felt like I felt everything was favorable to their friends. Like my personal experience with HR in a big corporation was not, it was toxic, very toxic.
Yeah.
So, but here, some heroes that
and I think that they are heroes. And a lot of times too, your perception of what they're doing is different than what they're actually doing because they can't share everything.
Yeah, maybe.
They're
that's
HR.
the part.
Yeah.
And I find while there are some amazing HR people, there are some other people that take that power, like they have some leverage over people, and there's people that don't use it for the better good of humanity. Let's just
using their power for good. Yes.
So, but I love to hear people standing up, being courageous.
Yes.
Taking bold action, documenting, being curious, like very awesome.
Yeah. And you know how I talk about all the time that curiosity, creative, critical thinking, connection, it all takes courage. All of it. To speak up, to give your opinion, to illustrate to people what you think could happen, if only, that's all courageous.
Yeah.
It's takes a lot of bravery to think for yourself. We need to start making that the norm, not the exception.
I love that. So that's all the stories I have for now.
Okay.
We want to get more of these hero stories. So if you guys have any more stories of heroes from the HR, we would love to continue doing this series because
share them.
We need them. I think we need to.
Oh my gosh. It's uplifting.
And there's so many bad news already in the world.
Yes.
We need good news.
We need good news. We need great stories about how people are making impacts in the world.
Yes. So that's it for me.
Great. Thank you. So if you've ever wondered whether the work you do in HR really matters, these stories are your answer. They should inspire you. You're shaping trust, safety, and humanity at work. So I'd love for you to share this episode with an HR peer who needs encouragement today. And subscribe for more untold stories of what leadership really looks like.